Hello, Interpretive Practices students. This is Craig Hill, and I wanted to walk through the syllabus with you. This presentation will go along much better if you have downloaded the PDF or are able to view it on your computers. The PDF is available on the Moodle page at the very top, right underneath the course announcements folder. There should be a PDF that says Interpretive Practices Syllabus or BI 500 Syllabus. All right, so let's get to it. A couple things just as we look at the front page of this. This is Interpretive Practices, BI 500, and my name is Craig Hill. I go Craig Allen Hill. That's the professional name because there's a couple other Craig Hills in the New Testament world. And so there you have it. All right, enough about me. Let's talk a little bit more about me. Let's talk about the contact information. If you do have questions for me, you can reach me by email. Obviously, the best place to get me is in class or in between at the break or before or after class. But if you do need to meet or talk to me in between class sessions, email me or you could text me on my phone to see if it is a good time to talk on the phone, and then I can call you back. But those would be ways to set up a meeting. You can see that all on the syllabus. So there we go. As we start looking at what the course is and how the course is going to be structured and what percentages are what, the first thing is the first 10% is required reading and making reading reports. And so all of the things that are part of this are, they're going to be every week, they're going to be PDFs of the lectures. And so you can bring those to class. I should be putting those up in Microsoft Word as well so that you can take notes on your computers. Sometimes there's going to be Prezi voiceover, micro lectures, smaller lectures, particularly the first couple weeks. I'm going to be out of class the first 2 weeks. Tonight, Mike is filling in for me in class. I am in Israel at the time, right now, so shalom. So we're meeting this week. Next week we will not be meeting, and then we'll pick it up again week 3 back in class. But there's going to be lectures, there's going to be voiceovers. It's all going to be available on Moodle. The other thing is you have purchased 2 books for this class. You've purchased Joel Green's book about interpretation and hearing the New Testament, which gives us kind of an overview of methods in that for interpreting the New Testament. There's also a book, The Bible in a World Context, and so that will be another book that we'll be reading. We'll also be reading various things, what do we call this? We call them e-reserves, articles and chapters on e-reserves, and you can see that more on page 2 of your syllabus. Articles and chapters on e-reserves, and that starts with the Evans article and it goes down, and there's quite a number of those. So every other week you're going to be giving a reading report, an honor report about what you've read and what you have not read. So that's that. Next thing is, we move into this, we're now on page 3 of the syllabus, and we're talking about biblical text exercises. And so the class is really going to be divided in half. The first half we're going to be talking about various skills that we're trying to develop within you when it comes to making observations and doing work in biblical text. And so each of the weeks of week 2, 3, 4, and 5, you will have an exercise based on a certain type of method. And so you'll be turning those in. These are going to be short. They're like 500 words maximum, so less than a page, maybe a page. You work as an individual. You turn in your document online, and but you do this work, and there'll be guided exercises on various things. So like for next week, you're going to be turning in an assignment on textual criticism and looking at textual variants. And so you'll turn that in and we'll have some conversations about that. But that's the first half of the class, and that's about 25% of your grade. The second half of the class is we focus on larger texts of Scripture. So every week, week 6, 7, 8, and 9, we have a passage that we're dealing with in class. And so what I want you to do is I want you to come to class having analyzed the text and made observations about the text, thinking about it and looking at various viewpoints, but more or less you looking at the text. And so what we do is we come into class, everyone prepared to discuss, and we come into class ready to discuss that passage, and we kind of tear it apart. The second half of class, we rip that sucker apart. What I'm going to ask you to do is one of those passages, so either week 6 or week 7 or week 8 or week 9, you pick a passage you want to do, and before class, you write it up. Now, every week you're going to prepare the passage, but only one of those weeks will you do a write-up of it, an interpretive paper, and I'm going to have a handout for you on what I'm looking for in that. And an interpretive paper is about 1,500 pages, 1,500 words, and you're making all sorts of observations about the passage. And you're basically coming up with maybe 3, 4, or 5 of the most significant interpretive issues related to that passage. You write it up, 1,500 words, and you turn it in, and you do that before class. So it's really no fair to do it after we all discuss it in class. I want to see what you know about it. So you pick your passage, you pick your week, and you turn it in before class that night, and then that night you become kind of an expert, if you will, or someone that we kind of test our observations together. So you do one of these interpretive papers in the second half of class, and that's 20% of your grade. I give you feedback on it, and the point being is that, and we'll get to eventually the final paper that you do is an interpretive paper, so we'll get to that in just a second. The other thing that you're going to be doing is outside of class, between class sessions, is we'll have some discussion forums that focus on the reading for the week. And these will be on Moodle, and they'll kind of be discussing the textual exercises, the biblical exercises and reading. And what you'll do is every week you'll write an original post before Thursday night at midnight, and then you'll respond to at least 2 other posts before class session of the next week. So your involvement in those discussion forums is worth 20% of your grade. Ultimately, what we're aiming for is the last thing you're going to do in the course is you are going to write a final interpretive assignment. You're going to put it all together. You've already written one, either week 6, 7, 8, or 9. I give you feedback on that, and then finals week, Friday of finals week, your final interpretive assignment is due, and this is kind of the capstone of the course. And we're trying to get you to a point where you feel comfortable and are able to demonstrate competency in working with a text. So you're writing your analysis in an academic format, you're offering your observations, you're offering a research agenda, you're offering a coherent interpretation of the passage, and doing it in a written format. So that's the final interpretive assignment. So that's what your grade is based on. Some things that you should be aware of. For one, obviously I want you in class every week. If there's a reason why you can't be in class, usually you have 1 week where, look, the wheels can fall off in your life. You can get sick and miss one. But in a 10-week quarter, missing more than 1 week of class becomes too much. And so your grade will start to be affected if you have multiple absences. But the other thing about attendance is we also need you to be in attendance in the weekly forums. And so we need you to make a post before Thursday at 11:59 or Thursday at midnight. So we have class on Mondays. You post by Thursday at midnight, and then you post again. You respond to posts in the forum before the next Monday class. And so that's what we're going to be doing in here. That's what attendance is. If you ever have late work that needs to be submitted, or if you ever submit work, please submit it as a Microsoft Word document, either .doc or .docx. The exercises, the text exercises for the first half of class, weeks 2, 3, 4, 5. If you need to turn those in late, you can turn them in late. There will be penalties for being late. Typically, a late assignment cannot get a grade over 85. So that's where we look at the very bottom. that 85 is the baseline. 85 is job well done. You did what we're looking for. Only when you go over that to very good, superior, or outstanding do you move up into the B plus, A minus, A range. But if you turn something in late, then you can expect an 85. You've done it. Good job. The one thing you cannot turn in late are your interpretive papers. And because those are tied to in-class discussion. So if you're going to do the passage for the night, you have to turn it in before that session. If you want to turn in late, you can't, and you have to move on to the next week. So that's a little bit, and we'll talk more about those policies when I get back, but the last day to turn in any work for the quarter is Friday, 5 p.m. of finals week. So that's the cutoff. That's the last time we can accept anything for the course. So a little policy there for you. What to expect? Every week on Moodle, there will be a little introduction video. It'll probably be me and Israel at some cool spot that I think is cool, saying hello and welcome to the week. There will obviously be a class session, and we'll come in and we'll do a lecture and discussion on a certain topic. We'll then, the second half of class will typically be some kind of work in a biblical text. So the first half, we'll talk about some method of interpretation, and then we'll just bury our noses in a text and we will just work in the Bible, and we'll do it as a class, and it's one of the most invigorating times for me of the course. You will also be expected every week to do some reading, either in the green volume or in the Bible in a World Context, or to do e-reserve reading. There will also be a discussion forum every week, and so that's what you're looking to do every week. There is a pretty good amount of work in the course. It is a graduate level class, and so that's what we're looking at every week. Now, what we expect and what our goal is if all goes well, then we will accomplish our goal, which is to make you, the student, competent to engage biblical texts in both academic settings as well as ministry settings. And so we're laying a foundation here to begin to work in the church and also to begin to work in the academy. And to do that centered around the Bible. So looking forward to this quarter, looking forward to meeting you all when I get back. But in the meantime, there should be stuff on Moodle that you can take a look at, download, and enjoy as you get to see what we're going to be doing here in interpretive practices.